Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on porch time today. I'm actually on the porch of the cabin. I got my camera sitting on the porch, or part of the porch anyway, and I'm sitting in the doorway because I don't have enough room here to actually do the camera and all of it together. Beautiful sunny day. We've had like 4 days of just what they call the bluebird effect with the sky. Woke up this morning, they're chemtrailing, and now it's partly cloudy and probably going to rain in the next couple of days. But I wanted to, on porch time today, I wanted to talk about, over on Patreon, I've been talking a lot about food shortages and stuff. And I wanted to kind of bring that into porch time a little bit about some of the things that's going on in the country. I do believe there is an agenda underway right now. I don't know exactly what it is. I've been getting a lot of pictures, texts, videos, and different things like that. About they're seeing in, I think it was California, they are seeing just miles and miles and miles of railways with these armored personnel vehicles on them. That's made to, a lot of them's made to do riot controls in cities. A lot of them are made to actually control people. If they come at you with a weapon, they can shoot you with a laser beam, and you all of a sudden just come unnerved and you run away. And you know, they can use them to disperse crowds with and all this kind of stuff. And the one thing I guess that I noticed more about any of it was the color, which told me that they're not going overseas, because they weren't the desert tan color that I believe they call it, but they were a dark green like the color of the United States stuff. And that's what disturbed me. Boy, I'm talking about, they had any kind of personnel carriers that you could imagine. Anything from a tank to radar stuff to laser stuff, all this kind of stuff I looked at on that railway going down through there. And they definitely have an agenda that they're going to use in this country somewhere, somehow. And it may strictly be for something to do with these border controls. I don't know. But they're definitely mass producing a lot of these things in here, and I'm going to have to be careful about the wording that I use. So if I spell something, the algorithm doesn't pick that up as well as it does if I just say the word. But I've noticed people are showing me in different parts of our country, sending me videos of things that's going on, and newspaper clippings and photographs of papers and articles and stuff like this. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm becoming extremely concerned, because as I've mentioned before, used to you heard about something happening every so often, but now it's like it's becoming daily. And the disasters that we're having in this country, and it's not even talking about them. I looked at back in what was it, 2010 or 11 or something? There was the flooding in Iowa that literally wiped out literally hundreds of thousands of acres. Then I looked at some stuff that's here recently. There's dams busting on lakes, literally wiping out hundreds of acres or thousands of acres of farmland. In Nebraska, there was millions of cattle lost and killed. I don't see none of this on the mainstream media. I mean, literally, I'm sitting here looking at this stuff going, I was looking this morning. This is the 28th, and I'm actually shooting this. It's on a Sunday, because I've got so much schedule this week. There's no way I'm going to get this done Tuesday. But I'm doing it on a Sunday. I'm looking at where Russia has had such a massive food shortage problem. Germany's having a massive food shortage problem. And Africa is having massive food shortage problems. China just, oh my gosh, China just got rid of so much stuff, it ain't even funny. They've got disease outbreaks over there in animals and stuff like that. And it's just not good. And so I immediately started looking into the food system once I found all this stuff out. And they're saying we're not going to see it so much right now. But by this fall to this winter, we're going to see massive issues with food as far as shortages. Now, I got an update just yesterday that a particular company is recalling so many million pounds of ground beef because it's been tainted. And I'm like, really? Can we not get anything right in this country anymore? It's amazing to me. And people ask me, Danny, why do you have these cows? Why do you have goats? Why do you have pigs? Why do you have chickens? Why do you have turkeys? Guys, let me tell you something. When I butcher one of them, I know what I've got. I know what I put in it, and I know what I've got. It didn't go through some processing plant somewhere. It was done here. And when I eat it, I'm not afraid of the meat. Now, our beef, we don't have any beef calves yet. I made a deal with my next door neighbor he has lots of beef calves, to get one from him this summer and have it butchered at a slaughterhouse that I'm familiar with the owner. I know the owner personally. I've taken meat there before. They've done a fantastic job. I have no problems with them. And we probably are going to do that. And I think one of my other neighbors said that they would want to go in with me, and maybe so that because they know the animal, they're a little concerned about the meat. We're probably going to do that. I had some friends of mine that were some black people that came out here a while back and talked to me and said, Mr. Danny, we would like you to help us build a chicken plucker because one of them had cancer, and they are very concerned about the foods that they're eating. And of course, I told them, I said, you don't want to build one because it's too expensive to build. You can I gave him a link to go to on Amazon to go buy one. And he thanked me and thanked me and thanked me. I've butchered pigs for them. I've butchered deer for those guys. At Deep South Homestead, I don't see colors, okay? These people are dear friends of mine. And I don't do the race thing like everybody else does. That doesn't mean anything to me. I grew up with different color people. It doesn't bother me. And it's just one of those things, guys. There's so much going on in this country. The government is trying to play the food system against us. They're trying to play vaccines against us. They're trying to force things on us that we don't want on us. They're trying to play the race wars. They're trying to stir up trouble. They're trying to do all these things to create this tension in our country. Instead of being free like we always have been, now we're at odds with one another. And it's all biblical. The Bible says in the latter days that it'll be father against son, mothers against daughters, nations against nations, and neighbors against neighbors, and all this kind of stuff. And when I see things happen, and we're having it happen around us right here at Deep South Homestead all the time, it just reiterates to me that we're in that time frame of the latter days of an age. And I'm so concerned about the food system that I'm getting worried that even I, being a veteran gardener, am going to have problems because I'm having complete failures at some things I'm doing, and I have never, ever had a problem. We're trying to find new tomato varieties. We're trying to find carrot varieties. We're trying to find bean varieties. I mean, there's things, guys, that has always produced here with no problems whatsoever. Everything has always grown and flourished. Squash. Oh my gosh. Last year we didn't get enough squash. I think we canned maybe, 25 or 30 jars of squash, something like that. That's nothing for us. That won't get us through part of a year, because the vine borers, the squash vine borers, and we tried everything. I mean, other than short of just using some kind of major chemicals, because we try not to use any kind of pesticides on anything that we grow or any herbicides. And guys, we're just out here fighting just like everybody else, trying to figure out how to keep the food system going. Because what I seen happen in Nebraska, Iowa, a person on our live stream the other night said they had to be evacuated in Quebec, Canada, because there was a dam issue up there about going to bust. Guys, we get people all over the world sending us messages about the food systems in their countries saying, Danny, we really appreciate what y'all are showing us because it's helping us to feel more secure about being able to raise our own foods. And that blesses my heart, okay? Let me say that. It really does. It's one of the reasons that we do Deep South Homestead. But I see a lot of people that want to be homesteaders are out here trying to be homesteaders, and when they find out how much work it is, they just throw their hands up in the air and go, well, if I die, I just die. I'm going to buy from the grocery store or whatever. They take no thought about their health. They take no thought about the health of their children. They take no thought about the existence of them should something happen. And that saddens me. That saddens me a whole lot. But guys, I'm telling you, this is from the depths of my heart. Get some animals. Get you some chickens. Get you some goats. If you don't have room for cows, that's fine. But you can eat goat meat. Goat meat is fine. It makes great sausage. Lamb. Get the hair sheep. I don't particularly care for the wool sheep myself. I don't like the taste of it. But the hair sheep, the Katahdins, the black-faced Dorpers and stuff like that, guys, that is some of the best meat you will ever put in your mouth. As a matter of fact, it is the #1, goat and sheep is the #1 meat sold in the world today, just not in the U.S. right now. And guys, they don't take up a lot of space. Goats mainly just need browse, bushes, and weeds and stuff like that to live on. That's all they need. Sheep will basically do the same thing. You just got to do rotational grazing with them. Get yourself some of these things, some of these animals. Get you some chickens, get you some turkeys. They don't take up a lot of space. Rabbits, they don't take up a lot of space. Guys, learn to do your own butchering. I'm sitting here in our cabin door. This is off-grid. I'm wrestling with this. I have spent the last 3 days and 3 nights over here away from my home where modern conveniences are, trying to figure out, even though I was raised this way as a small kid, I forgot a lot of it. And I'm trying to figure out how to make this work and how to make it work efficiently. Because people go, well, you need to get a solar, you need to get a battery bank, you need to get a generator. I have the generators, I have all this stuff. But guys, if an LCE happens and I can't get fuel and something happens to my solar, I'm learning to do it the hard way. And I want to pass that on to y'all. Now, we talk about a lot of this over on Patreon. I'm going to have to put me a hand pump well down here, and that means I'm going to have to drill it myself. I'm going to have to figure out how to do it and how to make it happen in order to have water over here. Because right now, water is our biggest thing over here. We are having to go back and forth to our pump to get water because we have absolutely no water here. We're learning the electricity is not a big deal. We don't try to, now that we've been over here for a while, we don't step in and try to flip a light switch or anything like that. Lighting is not an issue. As a matter of fact, we actually love it. When it gets to be late in the evening time, we love it when it starts getting dark. It just gets dark. You know, we may build a fire in the fireplace, a small one, and a flickering flame, excuse me, literally give some light in the cabin. We have some little lantern things that works, some lamps. These are things that we're learning about. One of our biggest obstacles right now is hot water and being able to bathe. We're trying to figure that out. We talked about that on a live stream the other night. Because when it's 100-something degrees out here, I don't want to have to build a fire to heat water to take a bath. I'm trying to figure it out, the most economical system to go with this cabin to literally be able to have hot water. And I'll figure it out. I know I will. It's just a matter of time. That's why we're doing it now while we have time. Because if something happens, that house I live in across the hill over yonder is not going to do me any good because it's totally electric. And I'm probably not going to be able to stay in it because it's going to be uncomfortable. But this one, we're trying to design to be comfortable. We placed the windows in strategic places in this cabin for light as well as breeze and airflow and different things like that. Guys, we're doing all of this because our country is headed toward, and I'm not going to use the word apocalypse, because my Bible tells me up until the very end there's going to be business done. Because it tells me that when Mystery Babylon is finally destroyed, that the people and the merchants will sit offshore in their ships and they will wail and cry because of loss of revenue from that system. That tells me all the way up to the end. There's going to be work, there's going to be trade, there's going to be all these things. It's just that it also tells me that it'll take a day's wages to buy something to eat for one person. So that tells me that there's going to be food shortages. And I'm trying to tie the Bible in with my lifestyle. I'm trying to figure out what warning signs Christ gave us toward the end time or the end days. And I know people throw these verses to me. They email them to me all the time, about take no thought about what you put on your body, about what you eat, and all this kind of thing. For those who, keep the commandments of the kingdom and stuff like that, have no need to worry about these things. But guys, God gives us a mind and a brain. He gave Joseph a warning during Pharaoh's time in Egypt that the hard times were coming, and they prepared. All throughout Scripture, God prepared people for what was coming, and because they prepared, they made it through. If Egypt had not prepared grain during Joseph's time, not only Egypt would have perished, but all the surrounding countries would have perished because that was where the famine was at. And yes, the Scripture does say that until the end of time, there will be seed time and harvest. But it doesn't say there will be seed time and harvest for everybody everywhere. There might be certain places in the world that it may be just fine, but because of the climate in other parts of the world, there will be no seed time or harvest. And we know that's possible because in 1815 and 1816, the year without a summer, we see that people that lived up north because of the Mount Tambora blowing its top, putting all the ash in the atmosphere, that for a year to 2 years there, they weren't able to grow crops. Many people in Europe died. A lot of people in the United States died. People had to migrate to grow food in order to have something to eat. But yet food was still grown in the South because it was warmer down here. So we see that there's parts of the countries and parts of the world that may not have food. There's parts of the countries and parts of the world that will have food. It's just, are you in one of those places when it happens? So this is some of the things I want to just draw to our attention, guys. I really see the time frame on things getting bad really shrinking down. All indication right now is that by 2021, we're going to be entering into a massive food problem in this country. And what I'm seeing coming at the end of 2019, they're saying food prices are going to at least double, if not go higher on some things. Then I am seeing problems in 2019. And if the climate and the chaos keeps on, 2020 won't be any better, because I'm looking at the grain silos out in the Midwest. Just take like a day before yesterday from this video, being the time it's being shot on the 28th, a freak snowstorm hit the Midwest again. People woke up to a foot deep of snow. They were blanketed in it. Crops were lost. Farmers can't get into the fields. It's too late to plant because it's too wet. Now it's got snow on it. It's got to dry out again. It's got to warm up. All these things have got to happen. More food problems for the future. More grain problems. because corn is used in gas now and stuff like that, ethanol, means fuel prices are going to go up. It'll be less work, more expensive food. And guys, we don't have a promise that there's not going to be another snowstorm or another record flooding or whatever. The Sierras are starting to melt. They've had excess amounts of snow everywhere. All the Sierras are being dumped, are having to open floodgates on lakes. They're having to flood farmland in order to protect the dams on the lakes and stuff like that. There's so much going on, guys. California, I mentioned this in one of my other videos, literally is selling their farmland for water rights because they're running out of water. And these people want to get rich off of selling their water, so the place is not going to be able to use to grow food anymore. They're going to use it for water rights. And we talk about we've got to import more food. Well, these countries that are having problems growing food are talking about they're not going to be exporting anything. I saw in Russia where they're talking about they're not going to be exporting any of their grain out for a while. Germany is not going to be exporting some things. There's different places in the country I was looking at. China is not going to be exporting some things. And when these countries finally come to the knowledge that there's shortages in their own country, that they got to take care of their own people, then they're going to quit exporting. And when they quit exporting, all these countries that has depended on that cannot import stuff into their country, their people is going to start going hungry. Look at Venezuela down here. Venezuela is a prime example of what can happen to a country. They're sitting there, half the time they're having brownouts, no electricity, and I believe that's planned. But yet those people are more adapted, I think, than we are if it happened to us. But they're having food shortages, food riots. But what I tell you one thing I have noticed, it has drawn people closer together in that country. They are now working with one another in places where they have no electricity and they have no food. They're all trying to come together and come to some sort of a reconciliation about how can we make this happen? What can we do? How can we survive? How can we drill wells? How can we find water? How can we do this? How can we do that? Guys, I don't think that would happen in our country. It might happen in spots. But I've seen here a while back when some of these EBT machines went down, when they was glitches in them, the way some of these people started rioting and stealing stuff in the stores and just taking what they wanted and walking out and not even worrying about the law. They told them, said, let them have it, because it ain't worth it to lose human life over it. Guys, when that happens on a large scale, then you can rest assured that it's going to get bad. So, I know I covered a lot of different subjects today, but they all lead back to one thing, and that's our food source. How you live. I'm trying to live in an off-grid cabin. I'm trying to get it built fast as I can because I'm probably going to have it to survive. Living off-grid, when brownouts come, food sources, growing your own food, having your own meat because of tainted meat in the country now, lack of meat to be able to be sold. It's some of these Nebraska farmers are talking, it's going to take decades to get back where they need to get back to. A lot of the country's coming to their rescue. I saw where 18-wheelers are bringing in loads of hay, just give to them. Other farmers in other parts of the country that have abundances is just sending it because they know that farmers stick together. And that's what it's all about, guys. Sticking together, trying to find somebody who you can trust. And I literally don't trust anybody now. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be offensive to any of you guys. There's a lot of y'all that I really love. And I would probably trust you more than I do anybody around me right here. But I don't trust anybody anymore. I'm literally nervous about the direction everything's headed in because I know in Agenda 2030 that the government is going to have neighbors who snitch on other neighbors and stuff like that. That's what they're teaching in schools today. If you see somebody doing something that ain't right, you need to report them, and things like that. guys, that's where we're headed. I'm not happy with it. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty much stuck here by myself now, trying to figure this thing out, me and Wanda. We've got a couple of people that's willing to work with us, but I'm really nervous about the future. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very nervous about the near future. And I know that God's going to take care of us. He has never failed me. He's always shown me what I need to see and what I need to know. And I'm trusting that He's going to continue doing it. I believe He will. I believe if you ask Him, He will show you. That's what we're doing. And He has shown us what to do. That's what we're doing. And we want to take you along on that journey so that possibly some of the things that we learn, you can learn also. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time to listen to us on Porch Time here today. And I pray, guys, I really pray that we will heed the warnings in this country and that we will pay attention to the signs that are around us, because a lot of it's not even being reported. It's being shoved under the rug because they don't want to create a panic. That's why I'm telling you this stuff. And I want to tell you, think about your families. Think about yourself. Are you safe? Can you grow what you need? Can you get enough meat? Can you get enough protein? Can you get enough carbohydrates? Can you get enough sugar in your system to keep you going and keep your family healthy through uncertain times and through times where there's going to be disease? There's lots of new diseases being breaking out in this country, and we need to stay as healthy with healthy immune systems as we can, even though we're being hit from the top through the skies. Different diseases are being brought into this country. Guys, do the best you can do and depend on the good Lord to do the rest. Thank you, guys, from Deep South Homestead.